How did the battle for the Brest fortress go through the eyes of the Germans, and what truth are they hiding? June 22nd, 1941, for 15 a.m. Thousands of shells simultaneously rained down on the sleeping fortress. People were already waking up under the rubble. Those who managed to get out did not understand what was happening. The war had not yet been officially declared, and the Brest fortress was already burning. The German command took 8 hours to capture the fortress. Exactly 8, no more. By 9 in the morning, the encirclement would have closed in, and it would all be over. But something went wrong. Instead of 8 hours, the operation lasted for 8 days. And then, even longer. The Germans were forced to call up reserves, then aviation, then heavy artillery. And in mid-July, almost a month after the start of the war, they took a step that they themselves prefer not to advertise. They flooded the underground passages with water from the Western Bug, to smoke out those who were still trapped inside. Those who, according to the German version, have not existed for a long time. Brest Fortress is one of the most famous places of the Second World War. Its history is taught in schools, films have been made about it, and its ruins still stand as a monument. But there's something uncomfortable hiding behind the decades of official veneration. We still don't know exactly what happened there. The Soviet archives are mostly closed. There are catastrophically few documents. And the two versions of events, the Soviet and the German, diverge so much that it seems that we are talking about different wars. German historiography insists on its own. Everything that the USSR called the monthly heroic defense is, according to them, an ideological construct created in the late 1950s. The real resistance, they claim, lasted no longer than a week. 3 days of serious fighting, followed by 2 more days of mopping up. On June 29th, the Eastern Fort, the last organized center of defense, fell. Then there are only scattered groups in the basements, no longer capable of anything serious. German files of prisoners of war are provided as evidence. The dates of the captivity are recorded there, which differ markedly from what the survivors told in the Soviet post-war surveys. The conclusion is harsh. The defenders allegedly deliberately distorted the chronology, fearing accusations of voluntary surrender. Soviet memoirs, they say, are not testimonies, but self-justifications of people who passed through the NKVD filtration camps. But if we accept this logic to the end, we will have to explain something inconvenient. Inscriptions on the walls of the casemates. What to do with them? They are there. They were not invented by Sergei Smirnov for his 1957 book. One of them reads, "I'm dying, but I'm not giving up. Goodbye, Motherland." July 20th, 1941. This is not propaganda. It was scratched into the stone by a man who knew he was dying and wanted to leave at least some trace. The 20th of July is the 28th day of the war, not the 3rd and not the 5th. The German interpretation is silent about other things. According to the Wehrmacht's plan, the fortress was supposed to fall in 8 hours, a typical blitzkrieg operation practiced to the point of automatism in Poland and France. But by the evening of June 22nd, it became clear to the command of the 45th Infantry Division that something was wrong. On the night of June 22nd to 23rd, the German units retreated behind the outer rampart. This is not a minor detail. It is an admission that the initial assault failed. This was followed by more shelling, aerial bombardments, and then the Corps reserves, which were thrown into battle on the very first day. A giant war machine that has crushed half of Europe is stuck at one fortress. It is important to understand the context here. The Soviet garrison was not preparing for a prolonged siege. General Lev Sandalov later explained, the huge number of troops in Brest was explained simply. There were barracks and casemates suitable for accommodation. According to the plan to cover the border, these units were to immediately leave the fortress upon alarm and move to the fortified positions of the Brest fortified area. The immediate garrison of the fortress consisted only of a reinforced battalion with an artillery battalion. What happened on June 22nd overturned all calculations. Heavy artillery fire, more than 7,000 heavy shells in the first hours alone. fell on people who had not yet had time to realize that the war had begun. In this inferno, about 6,000 soldiers of the 42nd and 6th Infantry Divisions still managed to break through and get out of the encirclement. Those who remained were trapped, without a clear command, without communication with the outside world, without any long-term defense plan. Nevertheless, they held on. Scattered groups in the casemates, basements, and ruins of the barracks continued to resist. Attempts to break through have been made repeatedly. The fiercest was at the Tiraspol Gate, where a group under the command of Potapov, along with Lieutenant Kazevatov's border guards, went on a breakthrough. Most of them died. Some managed to escape. The German commander of the 45th Infantry Division, Lieutenant General Fritz Schlieper, the man who personally led the assault, wrote in his reports that the Russians held on with exceptional tenacity and demonstrated excellent training and tremendous willpower. The chief of the German General Staff, Franz Halder, recorded in his diary a report that the 45th Division had suffered unjustifiably heavy losses in the Brest region. As for Major Peter Gavrilov, his example destroys another convenient assumption of the German version. He was captured at the end of July, exhausted and wounded. This is the 32nd day of the war. After his release, he passed the Soviet inspection. No evidence of collaboration with the enemy or voluntary surrender was found. He returned to a peaceful life in Krasnodar. German historical science finds itself in a delicate position. While acknowledging the courage of the defenders of the fortress, and it is impossible to deny it even if one really wants to, she also insists that the Soviet version of the monthly defense is a myth. But it is the fact that the underground passages were flooded in mid-July that exposes this contradiction. Why fill the catacombs with water if no one has been there for a long time? Why waste resources on people who, according to the German version, should have either surrendered or died long ago? The answer is simple, but inconvenient. There was someone else there. There were still people there whom the Germans had failed to dislodge by force or starve into surrender. And this admission would destroy the convenient narrative of the lightning-fast conquest of the Soviet borders. From the first days of the war, the Brest fortress refuted the thesis of the invincibility of the Wehrmacht, not by a resounding victory, but by the fact that it continued to exist as a hotbed of resistance when, according to all calculations, it should no longer exist. What do you think about this?